Okay, well remember there, Kyle, it's not so much about who you are as much as it is about what people are attracted to.
Yeah, can we do this whole dinner again?
Well, that's fine, because there's a lot of different brands people are attracted to. How about this one? Kyle, sensitive, outdoorsy, frugal victim.
That's hilarious, Can. I don't really get it, but it's still hilarious.
Wealthy, handsome, multi-talented, Grammy Award-winning victim. Oh, that one's taken already, sorry.
And well, I've got a lot of songs, and I was wondering, I'm clearly good, right? People wouldn't tell me I was good if I wasn't good, would they?
I understand you want people to like you more and think you're cool.
The moment the premiere appeared on screens, something changed not only on the internet, but in the culture overall. South Park didn't have to mention names, and they didn't, but within a minute people online had already connected the dots. A figure with red hair, a large hat, and a barely hidden wine glass with pink liquid spinning in view. It wasn't hidden, and that's what made it clever, because South Park doesn't usually do low-key unless they're setting up something more, and this was a setup.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault. I kind of took you out of your natural habitat. I'm surprised you're still breathing.
The kind of quiet hint that doesn't just suggest a joke, it challenges you to respond, and people did within minutes. TikTok went wild, Reddit threads filled with high-quality screenshots and side-by-side images. Fans were already calling it the subtle start of a full follow-up. One post with over 200,000 likes simply said they're back, and this time it's serious. Hashtags like Worldwide Privacy Tour 2 and Still Spare started trending. Some users even re-watched the earlier episode to break down the similarities, including the exact shape of the wine glass and the position of Harry's animated nose.
It's been several months now since our beloved queen has died. All Canadians are finding it hard to go on. All Canadians, that is, except for our first guest, the prince and his wife.
The crowd digging into clues wasn't just excited, it was precise. But what set this moment apart from the last time Meghan and Harry were mocked wasn't just how fast people responded, it was the attitude. Last year, when the Worldwide Privacy Tour episode aired, people were stunned. They laughed, of course, but there was also a feeling of shock, like did they actually do that? This time the laughter came faster, was more biting, and not surprised. The second those dark figures showed up, fans weren't shocked. They were clapping, cheering, almost thrilled, because now making fun of the Sussexes isn't off limits. It's expected, and that's a risky change, especially for a public image built fully on control.
Down with the monarchy! We deserve our privacy!
Meghan has spent most of the last 3 years shaping an image of gentleness, elegance, and a sense of hurt yet strong womanhood. Her new lifestyle effort, with soft colors, rose wine, and quiet motivational messages, was meant to separate her from the drama of the royal exit period. This was planned as her reset, her fresh start, but South Park didn't just interrupt it, they set it ablaze, and the timing couldn't be worse. The preview dropped less than a month after Meghan's official soft launch of her wine. Her team had already started promoting through influencers and pitching to wellness platforms. There were even quiet talks of a deal with a luxury lifestyle site. Her story was already moving forward.
So you hate journalists? That's right! And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right! So you're a journalist.
Then came South Park's first move, a quiet, sharp reminder that no matter how carefully you try to cover up the past, the internet doesn't forget, and even worse, it takes screenshots. And this wasn't just some random appearance. According to fans who track South Park's storyline patterns, early season hints like this one almost always lead to more. It's how the show builds story arcs, especially for big-name targets. One person posted, "This is how they set up the streaming wars trilogy. It starts with a tiny blink and ends in full cultural chaos." And that's exactly what Meghan is afraid of, because if just the teaser is this direct and the audience this intense, what's going to happen when the full episode airs? That's when things get serious, and that's what makes this moment more than just a simple pop culture reference. It's the warning before the storm. We want privacy, we want privacy, and deep inside Archwell they could already sense the storm was coming, but as we'll see soon, they had no clue how fast it would hit. The teaser wasn't even over before Archwell reportedly went into full panic mode. This wasn't just a few emails or a group chat full of worried emojis. No, sources say this was a red-level alert, the term they use when a reputation crisis isn't just possible, it's already underway. Meghan supposedly called her lawyers within minutes, not her PR team, not her branding experts, her legal advisors. That detail alone says it all. A source who has worked closely with Archwell's PR team described the atmosphere as panicked and angry the moment someone sent Meghan a screenshot of the cartoon figures with red hair, the big hat, and the clearly hinted wine glass. She reportedly asked one thing, "Is this already trending?" When the answer came back yes, and more. She didn't say anything, just looked at the image. Then, according to the source, she quietly said, "They're doing it again." But the panic wasn't just because she was being mentioned. It was about the timing and the method. Meghan had spent months preparing her image makeover. The Rose Wine soft launch was only the first step in a bigger plan, which insiders say included a digital wellness site, a collection of feminine home products, and even talk of a book about quiet strength in today's world. It was all built around soft colors, motivational sayings, and clean girl branding. But the second the South Park teaser aired, everything changed overnight. We'll just have to find a way to make 50 billion on our own. Suddenly the internet wasn't talking about her rebrand, they were arguing over how harsh the next South Park episode might be. Meghan drinking rose didn't look stylish, it became a meme, and that wasn't just annoying, it was embarrassing. So the calls started. Reportedly multiple lawyers were contacted by Midnight, Archwell's crisis communications head, who has a background with political figures and high-pressure brand clients, was said to be on the phone, constantly rotating through media experts, online reputation trackers, and even sympathetic reporters to understand just how bad the damage was.
And please stop sending me samples.
I hear you, Andy. I'll amp it up. I'll smash a wine glass. I'll tell Kyle she has Munchausen syndrome. I'll accuse Dorit of doing coke.
One insider claimed that Meghan's team activated what they call the containment playbook, a set of prepared emergency steps meant to take back control of the story. The issue was none of the plans were built for a cartoon parody, as the cause. One strategist, who worked on the edge of Archwell's PR network, reportedly gave an early warning: this isn't something we can manage. South Park doesn't respond, they don't explain, and they don't care. That's when the mood shifted from panic to fear. The most unsettling moment came when the team saw that the teaser wasn't even being joked about like a regular comedy, but it was being analyzed like a serious political event. Fans weren't just laughing, they were making theories, setting up timelines, and designing early versions of what they thought the full episode might contain. The guessing wasn't wild, it was organized, viral, and completely out of Meghan's hands. So what do you do when staying quiet looks weak, but speaking out makes you the joke? That's the question Meghan's team was desperately trying to figure out.
Just have to find a way to make £50 billion on our own.
Leak. It didn't show up on a news site or a celebrity blog, it appeared on Discord. A blurry, slightly low-quality image was posted anonymously in a private animation group with just one line: Scene 14 Act 1. At first fans thought it was a prank, maybe fan art or some AI-made fake meant to cause trouble. But then a second image appeared, and a third, each one sharper than the last, and when the fourth frame showed up complete with watermarks, shading notes, and production timestamps, there was no more doubt these weren't fake, they were real, and they were harsh.
Who's that?
That's your nephew, Archie.
You're pulling my leg. Why have we not met before?
You've met him like 1,000 times.
The first parody episode had already hurt the Sussex image, turning privacy into a joke and making Harry seem like a walking contradiction, but this leak pointed to something much more serious. It showed that the writers weren't just repeating old jokes, they were raising the stakes, getting deeper, sharper, and harsher, not just making fun of actions, but challenging the whole idea behind Meghan and Harry's public image. Inside Archwell, the feeling reportedly shifted from managed panic to a sense of shock and fear. Sources say the PR team immediately started trying to find out where the leak came from. Was it an upset freelancer, a PR move that backfired, or worse, someone inside the animation studio leaking it on purpose to stir attention? No one had answers, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Meghan's Rose brand had just started sending out influencer packages. Her team had been contacting media outlets, setting up friendly interviews and lifestyle features planned for late summer.
I don't know what to do. How are we going to pay for school for Archie?
I have to tell you, I never realized so many things cost money. Like this chicken. I bet you had to pay for it.
One planned headline from a major digital magazine reportedly said Meghan's vineyard era begins. That article never got published because the internet wasn't discussing wine tastings or vineyard dreams. They were talking about cartoon Meghan yelling into a wine bottle, while cartoon Harry sat behind a pile of memoirs crying. The message was clear, and it hit hard not only with critics but with longtime fans who suddenly felt the couple had lost control of their narrative. By the end of the day, Archwell insiders were said to have held an emergency Zoom meeting trying to figure out a next step, but the real question wasn't how to respond, it was whether to say anything at all, because as one insider put it, once you become the joke you can't win the debate. And sadly for Meghan, that was only the first leak. While her team rushed to prepare legal warnings and media responses, Prince Harry was reportedly falling apart in a different way, not in a strategy room, not with a PR expert, but by himself. One source close to the Sussex household put it plainly: he wasn't mad, he was crushed, not just because of the cartoon or the leak, but because for the first time he understood no one was coming to rescue them this time.
We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
According to a longtime contact from Harry's UK circle, the prince made several emotional phone calls the night after the leak, but these weren't professional, they were personal. One of the first people he supposedly called was a former royal aide, someone who had once quietly helped him manage press issues and family tensions, someone who knew how to stay off the radar and get results, but the call went unanswered. Another source says Harry also tried reaching out to a Netflix executive he had once been close with during the early stages of their documentary project. This executive had reportedly supported Harry as a fresh and genuine voice, a rare royal willing to speak honestly, but now there was nothing, no reply. According to someone familiar with the studio, the exec didn't want to get involved, saying it was too risky, too complicated, too animated literally, and that silence reportedly affected Harry more than any meme or cartoon image. He truly believed someone would step in, the source said. Not everyone, but at least one person, and realizing even his past supporters were disappearing, that's when it finally hit. They weren't just being made fun of, they were being left behind.
Well, it's an apartment, so.
Yes, an apartment palace, I know that. Lots of tiny palaces inside one big palace.
People close to Harry say he's taken the leak very personally, deeply so. Unlike Meghan, who tends to deal with stress through planning and control, Harry reportedly keeps the pressure inside, and the image of his cartoon version crying into a pile of memoirs didn't feel like a joke to him. It felt like a personal blow, especially because behind the scenes he had been quietly working on what insiders call a long-term plan for redemption, something slower, more serious, maybe even focused on meaningful causes or philanthropy. Now that effort seems broken, not just because of how people see him, but because his name is back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. One part of the leak reportedly hit Harry the hardest, a fake therapy scene showing cartoon Harry holding a baby bottle labeled validation, while a therapist sketches under a note that says crisis of narrative. It was over the top and meant to be funny, but it stung because it wasn't too far from the truth, not when you strip away the surface and see how the public really views him now, making things worse. A source says Harry suggested putting out a quiet solo message, maybe anonymous, like a blog post or short essay, to show humility and shift focus back to something real, but that idea was reportedly shut down quickly. An advisor warned it would seem weak, and even worse, it would confirm the leaks are real.
She hates to lead.
You need to knock it off, and you're hitting everyone with that table.
So instead Harry went quiet again, and while Meghan focused on strategy, legal matters, and influencer fallout, Harry was reportedly wandering the Montecito property with headphones on, walking in circles, not to think or stay fit, but because, as one insider said, he didn't know what else to do. And what's most alarming for the Sussex team is that this is all happening before the episode even airs, while memes were spreading everywhere, and Harry was said to be struggling behind the scenes. The real life consequences were starting to build fast. This wasn't just about image anymore, it was about income. According to several brand sources, the moment the leaks surfaced and South Park buzz came back, the business world didn't just react, it froze. It started quietly, with two possible deals reportedly put on hold within a day of the first leak. One was with a high-end skincare company, the other a wellness brand known for working with polished influencers and celebrities. Both were deep in talks. Contracts weren't signed, but they were close. Then everything went silent. Calls stopped, emails slowed down. One source said Meghan's team followed up twice asking about timelines. No answer. An executive familiar with the skincare brand's internal response put it clearly: no one wants to end up in a cartoon joke, and Meghan is one punchline away from becoming toxic. To retail, that may sound brutal, but to companies it's just practical thinking, because when a public figure turns into a meme, they're no longer someone people admire. They're seen as risky, unpredictable, and not funny for the wrong reasons. And this wasn't just about losing brand deals.
We're hoping the ketchups and mustards are going to be sold at Whole Foods, which, would be huge. Oh, and they're all organic, in case anyone was wondering.
We were.
Insiders now claim that a major streaming service, not Netflix but one of its top competitors, had been quietly working on a lightly scripted docuseries centered around Meghan's creative journey. It was meant to blend lifestyle with legacy, offering behind-the-scenes moments of her wine brand development, design choices, and focus on female-driven business. It aimed to position her as a thoughtful creator and tastemaker. That project is now off the table, not postponed, not reimagined, shelved. The reason, according to leaked internal notes, was satirical volatility, a rare phrase, but one now being whispered in Hollywood meetings and brand planning calls. Meghan's team had carefully shaped her post-royal image around elegance, progress, and empowerment, but after South Park hinted at a sequel, and especially following the leaks, none of those ideas stuck. What did stick were words like parody wine bottle and desperate. Even Meghan's Rose label, which had just started working with influencers and was ready For a full launch is reportedly hitting resistance. Influencers who once agreed to promote it are now backing away. One fashion blogger overheard at an event in West Hollywood reportedly said, "I'm not risking getting drawn into the next episode holding that bottle." It was said as a joke, but it captured the feeling the fallout spread further. Podcast studios, especially after Meghan's Spotify deal ended, were paying close attention. Her team had been pitching a new podcast focused on lifestyle, womanhood, and strength, but after the leaks, interest faded. Studios became silent. No one wanted to tie themselves to a brand now being targeted by Satire. One senior branding expert explained it simply: you can survive a scandal, you can even survive being criticized, but once you're a regular punchline, it's done not because people dislike you, but because they've stopped viewing you as serious. That's the quiet disaster happening behind the scenes, the collapse of credibility, not because of wrongdoing or cruelty, but because South Park recast Meghan and Harry, not as disruptors, not as victims, not even as personalities, but as cartoons. And in Hollywood, that's a reputation you don't bounce back from, especially when the palace is sitting by watching and smiling.
Oh, you're hilarious, Meghan. Why did you move back here anyway?
It was ultimately a tough call, but there were a lot of factors to consider.
Back in London, the mood was completely different. While Archwell insiders were reportedly scrambling to contain leaks, calm down sponsors, and avoid a full PR disaster, the palace response, or rather the lack of one, was loud in its own way. Total silence. Not a word from Buckingham, no reaction from Kensington, no aides briefing the press, no insiders feeding the royal rota, just silence, and that silence said everything. One royal staffer reportedly told a UK tabloid reporter who had covered the Oprah aftermath, "This isn't carelessness, it's a move, because after all the interviews, the book, the series, and the brand built at the monarchy's expense, no one from the palace was ever going to step in and save them." Meghan and Harry had built their story by attacking the crown, and now the crown was letting them deal with the fallout alone. Even the most reserved palace aides were said to have found it quietly entertaining. Group chats among staff at Kensington Palace and Clarence House allegedly lit up the night the South Park teaser aired. One of the most shared memes, according to someone close to the chats, was a screenshot of the cartoon wine bottle with the caption "Pairs well with misplaced ambition." Others just posted the now well-known pink silhouette with one word: "Cheers." The royal rota, known for stepping in to protect the firm, stayed unusually quiet. No opinion pieces, no insider quotes, just dry articles noting the leaks, written with curiosity but no concern. That quiet reaction was clearer than any official statement, and then came the smirk.
Anyway, Meghan, you were saying Dorit's such a what?
What? No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, Dorit.
Well, I heard it some.
Prince William's reaction, according to a source inside Kensington Palace, was short but meaningful. He reportedly watched the teaser clip, saw how quickly it spread online, and simply smirked. That's all. No words, no statements, but in royal terms that's the same as a mic drop. He's amused, the source said, not in a cruel way, just not surprised, like he sees this as the obvious result of everything that's happened. It fits with what William is said to have believed for years, that Harry and Meghan confused attention with power, that they tried to turn the monarchy into a personal brand and forgot that brands get judged, spoofed and mocked. And now South Park isn't just making fun of the Sussexes, it's doing it while the palace stays quiet. Across the ocean, arms crossed, brows raised, there are even whispers, though only whispers, that some former royal staff may have added input to the South Park episode, not officially and nothing confirmed, but a few character quirks and subtle details that feel a little too real. And whether it's true or not doesn't really matter, because the idea has already taken hold, and in media perception is everything, especially when silence becomes a strategy, because the royal family doesn't fire back, they don't issue clapbacks or go live on social media, they let others speak or stay silent and let the world do the talking. And that hits harder than any cartoon, because when the people you once called family choose not to stand up for you at your worst moment, it doesn't just hurt, it proves something. And for Meghan and Harry, that's the most painful part, especially now that late night shows and comedians are getting ready to jump in without holding back.
Hey, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
South Park set things off with its now famous teaser, and it didn't take long for the rest of the comedy world to jump in. Once Meghan and Harry became cartoon material, every stand-up comic, talk show host, TikTok satirist, and late-night writer saw the same signal. It's fair game. TikTok was first. Thousands of creators started stitching together clips from the original Worldwide Privacy Tour episode with leaked images from the new one. Some made theories, others created fake trailers. One viral video showed cartoon Meghan crying into a wine glass while Harry searched how to legally cancel Satire set to Sarah McLachlan's Angel. It pulled in over 6 million views in just one day. Another TikTok looped the phrase empathy in a bottle over Meghan's podcast voice with the cartoon stills flashing in sync. Users filled the comments with lines like "I'm crying and cringing at the same time" and "This deserves an Emmy, just not for them." Then came the late night shows. Jimmy Kimmel didn't hold back. South Parks writers aren't just back, he said, smiling. They're reloading. He joked that Meghan's new wine was the official drink of pretending not to read the comments, and the audience erupted. Even Stephen Colbert, who usually avoids sharp hits on royal scandals, took a swing, calling the Duke and Duchess of Montecito shaken, probably by the tannins. The joke was sharp, and it landed hard, and it wasn't just talk shows, podcasters, parody accounts, and even competing animated series joined in one adult cartoon. Slipped in a quick gag showing two unnamed characters, one redhead, one brunette, arguing in a lavender vineyard, while wine bottles fell from the sky. No names were used, but viewers instantly knew who it referenced. Screenshots spread fast, even stand-up comics got in on it. A rising comedian at the Laugh Factory reportedly opened her set with Meghan's rose pairs beautifully with victimhood and finishes with a strong note of delusion.
What did he just say? He victimized me! It's because I'm an ethnic woman! He can't do that! I'll say, wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage! We'll just see how he deals with my blue...
That one clip alone spread quickly across Instagram and YouTube with captions like brutal but fair, and this is Meghan's PR nightmare come to life. But the clearest sign of where things were heading came from influencer parody accounts. Duchess of Chardonnay picked up over 200,000 followers in just 2 days by posting fake product reviews like pairs well with royal dishes and dodged accountability. Another account, Prince of Wine, mocked Harry's inner thoughts with lines like, maybe if I hold this wine bottle tighter. The memes will stop. These weren't just jokes, they were signs that the cultural tone had shifted. Meghan and Harry weren't being discussed like serious public figures anymore. They were being held up as the new faces of cringe. Their names turned into punchlines, and even worse, into easy ones, because when jokes go viral like this, the comedy writes itself. Meghan's team couldn't keep up. A former Archewell staffer allegedly said it's like watching a house catch fire and realizing you're only hose is a press release no one will read. And as the jokes piled up, Meghan tried to respond, not with humor, but with sincerity, and it didn't land. It was meant to be a reset, a vulnerable moment, a chance to take back the story, not with lawyers or glossy magazine spreads, but with something real. Her team reportedly considered every response, and the final call was no press statements, no interviews, and no legal action, just Meghan on Instagram Live, casual, unfiltered, speaking from the heart. It was a last-ditch effort, no big announcement, no promo, just a quiet alert. Meghan Markle has gone live. The stream opened with Meghan in soft natural light, her hair pulled back, a pastel sweater, minimal makeup, a gold necklace catching the light. She gave a gentle smile and started with a simple hi. Friends' comments flowed in, full of support and curiosity. Thousands joined within seconds. At first it seemed to work. Meghan spoke about reflection, about grace, about ignoring the noise and staying grounded. Her tone was calm, thoughtful, not robotic.
It's so nice to have you back in London, Meghan. I've missed our little lunches.
We've never had lunch together, Kate.
Well, we must.
She spoke of choosing kindness when it's hard, of leading with heart, of building a life beyond the noise. It was everything her team had hoped for, gentle, composed, filtered through soft lighting and sincerity. A rebrand moment. But then came the glitch. Mid-sentence, something about rising above the chaos and staying grounded, the video froze. Her face paused mid-blink, mouth slightly open, eyes caught in an awkward frame. A second passed, then another. The screen flickered, audio stuttered, and suddenly, the live ended. No warning, no wrap-up, just gone. At first, it seemed like a simple tech issue. Instagram Live hiccups aren't rare. But within minutes, screen recordings of the freeze frame were everywhere. TikTok seized it first. Creators added dramatic violin scores, overlaid South Park voiceovers, or cut the moment into fake trailer edits. One viral clip had Meghan frozen in that unflattering pose while Cartman's voice echoed, "We want privacy." Another showed animated bees circling her head, each labeled, South Park leak, spoof wine, brand collapse, cease and desist. The speed was brutal. What was meant to be a moment of softness, of human vulnerability, instantly mutated into another internet gag. It wasn't just a PR fail, it became symbolic. A frozen frame that perfectly captured what critics had been shouting for months. That behind the polish, the narrative, the brand, there's a glitch.
Thanks. Okay, see you later. Oh, would you pick up some milk?
Then came the rumor. A mid-tier podcast host with over 1 million followers claimed he got a DM from someone supposedly linked to South Park's animation team. The message: "We saw the live. And yes, it's going in." That one sentence was all it took. No screenshots, no names, just enough ambiguity to feel believable. The internet didn't wait for confirmation. TikTok ran with it. Reddit theorized frame by frame how the glitch might be parodied. Would they loop her frozen expression? Add bees again? Drop Cartman's voice mid-sentence? It didn't matter if it was true, the damage was already in motion. Meanwhile, insiders say Meghan's team pulled the plug early, ending the stream at just under 12 minutes, well short of the intended 20. The vibe had shifted. Comments were getting hostile. Trolls slipped through the cracks. One viewer typed, "Say Rose if Cartman's in the room." Another joked, "Blink twice if you regret Spotify." What was meant to be a soft, controlled reset turned into another viral misfire. Even her usual supporters treaded carefully. Some posted vague encouragement like "so authentic," but most said nothing. The silence spoke louder than the sarcasm. Because now, even vulnerability had become fair game.
Let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it.
And the next round of leaks was about to add fuel to the fire just as the buzz around Meghan's glitched livestream began to fade barely, and only briefly the second wave hit. Another batch of South Park storyboards leaked, and this time there was no confusion, no low-quality images to guess from. These were sharp, full-color watermarked, clearly labeled with act numbers, scene divisions, and internal animation notes, and the content was somehow even harsher than the first one, now widely shared frame. Showed cartoon Meghan sitting on a throne made entirely of shattered wine bottles, each one labeled with the name of a failed or ridiculed Project Pearl Spotify bench, and of course Rose in her lap sat a giant scroll marked Duchess of Influencing. Her cartoon eyes were crossed out with pink dollar signs, and the most brutal part, she was mid-speech yelling the word grace into a golden microphone, while a crowd of unimpressed villagers stared at their phones. That wasn't satire, that was precision.
We couldn't get jobs and we ran out of money. We ate chicken out of bowls and rode in big cars full of smelly people to something called work. Every day was a new nightmare.
Another reveal showed cartoon Harry curled up on the floor of a therapist's office with a banner overhead reading "Still Extra." He was holding a giant baby bottle labeled approval, while an animated counselor scribbled notes under the title Identity Crisis. One of the notes reportedly said, "Has completely lost direction." Reddit went wild. TikTok users added emotional violin soundtracks to animated edits. Instagram pages reshared the images with captions like "South Park isn't just roasting there." Tearing down, and Twitter exploded. Hashtag entitled Sussex was trending worldwide within hours. Even former supporters were shocked. One post said, "I expected some jokes, not a full character takedown with punchlines."
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid, and then so are like journalists.
And here's what made it worse: these new images didn't come from the same source as the first batch, according to online sleuths and watermark experts. Yes, that's an actual thing. Now these storyboards came from a separate stage of the animation process, which means this wasn't just one staffer acting alone, it was a trend. Several insiders, multiple leaks, all intentional, all timed. The Sussexes weren't just dealing with one animated episode, they were facing a full-blown movement.
Park County Police Station, what's your emergency?
Yeah, the neighbors across the street are setting off fireworks and it's 10:30 at night.
Oh, is it the Prince of Canada and his wife who just want to be left alone?
Meanwhile, as the internet exploded with another wave of viral chaos, Trey Parker, co-creator of South Park, made an unexpected appearance at the Colorado Creators Festival. No cameras, no media, just a relaxed Q/and A with a room full of industry professionals. But one comment changed everything. When someone asked how the team deals with leaks, Trey smirked and said, "If leaks scare you, wait till you see what didn't leak." The room erupted. The quote went viral instantly, within minutes. Entertainment reporters and meme pages were all over it. It wasn't just a warning, it was a promise, and fans treated it like gospel. Reddit launched a countdown clock. YouTubers jumped in with breakdowns and theories, guessing what scenes hadn't even leaked yet.
How many more princes and his wives have to live in this nightmare?
One theory claimed there's a fantasy scene where Meghan envisions herself as a historical legend, only to get bombarded by rejection letters from animated Netflix executives. Whether it's real or not no longer matters, the message already landed. South Park isn't just mocking Meghan and Harry again, they're orchestrating a full-scale takedown, and if this second round of leaks was just Act 1, what comes next might completely scorch whatever's left of their public image. Because when Trey Parker starts throwing knowing smiles to the audience, one thing's certain: the writers aren't joking anymore, and Meghan and Harry haven't even hit the worst part, with Trey's grin still echoing through Reddit threads and fan circles. The real countdown kicked off, not to the next leak, those were a given, but to the final episode, the completed version reportedly already handed to Comedy Central, fully animated, fully voiced, and completely locked in.
Andy, you gotta be kidding me. I've brought plenty of conflict to the show.
I'm sorry, Meghan. It's just not working out. All you talked about all season was your line of ketchup.
At this point there's no way to undo what's coming. The only question is what will survive the fallout and what won't. Inside Archwell, one insider says the vibe has shifted from panic to being completely stuck. Meghan's core team, once busy with media strategies and influencer pitches, is now reportedly worn out. Someone close to her PR staff said, "We're on our fourth final plan. In 2 weeks nothing works, everything gets out, every step becomes another meme." Some advisors are pushing for complete silence. No statements, no posts, no live streams, just vanish. Let the episode run, let the backlash burn itself out. Hope the fire dies quicker. Without attention, it's a standard crisis move. If you can't change the story, wait for another headline to take its place.
Over, under, the round and through. Meet Mr. Bunny Rabbit pulled and through! I did it!
Good job, Harry.
But others in Meghan's team are scared of going quiet. They think pulling back now would look like giving up, and for someone whose whole brand depends on managing how she's seen, disappearing might make it seem like South Park broke through the image she spent years building. So the internal struggle continues. Every option feels like a setup. One PR expert said, "If she talks she gets mocked, if she stays silent she's forgotten." And while Archwell keeps spinning its wheels, branding pros are watching the data, and it's not looking good. Interest in Meghan's Rose launch is falling, media coverage is drying up, even curiosity is fading. The only thing still keeping Harry and Meghan in public conversation is starting to disappear. Now the biggest danger isn't hate. One strategist said it's indifference, because when they were at their media peak they had fans, people who believed in what they stood for, but now even those voices are going quiet. Not because they don't care, but because they're tired of the missteps, the live stream fail, the leaks, the jokes, the palace silence. This isn't a scandal anymore, it's a cycle, and that's exactly the kind of thing South Park knows how to destroy.
There were highs and lows, it's all good. Anyway, see you guys at tea. Come on, Harry.
It doesn't just mock its subjects. South Park strips them of complexity. It locks them into a moment, not as real people, but as exaggerated characters. It takes whatever nuance once existed and distills it into a punchline, then embeds that version into the public's memory. That's the real risk Meghan and Harry are up against now. Not backlash, but being reduced to a joke so persistent it rewrites how people see them entirely.
Hey guys, so funny bumping into you.
Yeah, I mean, we all live here now, so not that.
One entertainment journalist summed it up perfectly. Asterisk, they're no longer polarizing. They're punchlines. And punchlines don't get brand deals. Asterisk, as the final episode draws near, Meghan's team is still reportedly searching for an escape hatch, but every strategy feels like stepping into quicksand. Because the South Park writers don't just own the jokes, they control the pace, the rhythm, the whole narrative arc. And if the whispers are true, we haven't even hit Act 2 yet.
If it's truly what we want, then we really can get away from it all. No more magazines and Netflix shows. We really can live a normal life.
So what happens when the final punchline lands? Will Meghan and Harry finally shift gears, take a step back, regroup, and find a new direction? Or will they dig in once more and become the first royals to be featured twice in one South Park season? Share your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stick around. The next video is on the way, and you won't believe what's coming.